This segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your partner is good health.
Hey everybody, welcome into Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. It's time to check in with the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office. So for that, it's First Lieutenant Blake Tabor is here. Very interesting story. This is a thing that's been in the work almost 30 years now.
Absolutely.
That's come back, and a lot of good work and a lot of good police work to possibly have a good case here.
Absolutely. So, yeah, this case started in January of 25 when our Special Victims Unit was alerted to a female victim who was alleging that she was raped as late as 1997. And she ultimately identified the person as a Jeffrey Joseph Antiel. He was a 62-year-old male. You see him photographed here. Ultimately, as you know, anytime someone makes these kind of allegations, obviously we have to do our due diligence and make sure that not only protecting the victim, but we do have an obligation to protect the suspect's rights as well. So, you know, again, that led into a very detailed investigation. They completed a very lengthy interview, and the details that the victim was providing as it related to her abuse at the hands of Mr. Antiel, it became readily apparent that there was obviously some indicators of truth there. So again, after that initial investigation, they began to link that to some correlation between a relationship between the female and Mr. Antiel. So everything started kind of coming together in this case. We also notated that there was some other victims that were associated or had knowledge of this female victim, where Mr. Antiel had served some time for some charges related to child sex abuse previously. So ultimately, after this, we were confident that we got some warrants on Mr. Antiel, and we reached out to authorities in Sumrall, Mississippi, which is where he was living at the time, who ultimately executed those warrants and took him into custody for us. He was later extradited back to the state of Louisiana and charged with third-degree rape. He is currently in our jail at this point on a no-bond warrant by local judges.
In a case like this, there is no statute of limitation.
That's correct.
Right?
That is correct.
So those are because of sex trials or murder? Is that how that
Absolutely.
works?
It's because of the degree of violence that could be associated with these kind of cases.
Yeah, very interesting case. I know we've seen that with several cases now, and it used to be. I know they've changed those rules recently. So, yeah, there's never a place to hide when you have something.
And absolutely. You know, like with this case, I mean, we know that he was previously convicted for this, you know, and anytime we put this type of stuff on social media, people always want to assume that he's guilty of this one as well, right? And again, he's always presumed innocent until proven guilty. Right. This case is going to have to go through the district attorney's office and through trial, but it's some pretty damaging evidence against Mr. Antiel at this point.
And now it comes to the DA to now try a case that's almost 30 years.
Absolutely.
So you talk about evidence and all those kind of things too that'll come into play.
Absolutely.
That brings us to a training class that the Sheriff's Department is doing. It's an Internet Safety Awareness. You have 2 training classes. And before we get to that, on June 10th, actually, I just heard on the radio, the governor actually signed into law a grooming bill that was by Senator Pat Connick put in. So it's an anti-grooming bill, which again will kind of dovetail with most of these things. And I know you guys will need to look at it and see exactly what the laws are going to say on that. But that's much in the works right now, and it goes with internet grooming, talking to people on the internet, passing signals around, images, those kind of things. So is that where we're at with the internet?
Absolutely. And you know, look, with the new laws that are going into effect, this is an ever-evolving set of circumstances when it comes to the victimization of our children, right? It is probably one of the hottest topics in social media now, and you know, in the mouths of parents especially. So we had obviously talked about this before, where we had a previous class on June 12th. We are offering some additional classes. The next one is going to be on July 10th, and then we're going to have one on July 24th. Both classes will be held at the TPSO Rifle Range at 2100 Savannah Road from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And look, these are classes that we're extremely excited to talk about, not because of the type of information, but we believe that it's vital information that every parent needs to know. And so what's important about this class is we're going to be talking about some pretty sensitive topics, right? So what we're asking is that children are left at home unless they've reached the age of 12. Now, look, if a parent has an 11-year-old that is extremely wise beyond their years and could handle that, certainly it's a case-by-case basis, but we are going to be talking about some really sensitive things. And some of the topics, I'll just go over a few of these, is overall internet safety, right? Inappropriate contact or online privacy, things like online enticement, teen chat acronyms and slang terms that are used by suspects, sexting, sextortion, cyberbullying, and a multitude of other topics that are really affecting our children. And the important thing to remember is this is not just about our child becoming a victim. These things lead to years of damage and years of abuse at the hands of some of these kids, and it could change their life forever.
Well, it does, and there's also a very high recidivism rate for victims of this.
Absolutely.
To hurt people, as the saying goes. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it used to be a kid, hey, I'm going to run away from home and bus stop, and maybe you show up in a big city. Now all they got to do is walk in the next room, and they basically can run away from home.
Absolutely, and you can be victimized in the privacy of your own home, and there's no more damaging things to happen to a kid than that.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, First Lieutenant Blake Tabor, thanks for the update.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll be right back with more Bayou Time right after this.
This segment was brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your partner is good health.